My half-sister had an affair and became pregnant. To protect her reputation, my fiancé, Jiyu Xiangming, got me drunk and sent me to bed with one of his military brothers. When I woke up 3 days later, I heard that Jiyu Xiangming and my half-sister had already married and consummated their union. Rumors spread through the town, claiming that I had committed adultery first, forcing Jiyu Xiangming to marry someone else. The governor's mansion, along with me, became the laughingstock of the town. Father was in a state of panic when a man in black burst in. Everything has happened as it should. Lord Governor, why not go with the flow and marry your daughter to me as a royal consort? Father was so frightened that he could hardly speak. You wouldn't be the legendary cursed sixth prince, would you? You were exiled at birth. And my daughter would have no good life with you. I interrupted my father. Dad, I'll marry. Ning Yang hadn't expected me to agree so readily, and was momentarily at a loss for words. After a while, he stammered, "Aren't you afraid that I, this calamity star, will bring misfortune to you?" I shrugged nonchalantly. My fate is strong. I'm not afraid of being cursed. All right, then allow me to prepare. I will come to marry you in 3 days. I'm not currently in a position to reveal my identity. I hope Miss Xia won't mind. Not at all. Seeing Ning Yang leave with great joy, I felt much more at ease. It's better to have someone than to remain unmarried. Besides, a dying camel is still bigger than a horse. No matter how neglected he is, he's still a prince. That's much better than Jiyu Xiangming, this frustrated adjutant. After seeing Ning Yang off, Jiyu Xiangming took his half-sister Shi Jinwei back to her maiden home. I couldn't avoid them and was cornered by the couple. Shi Jinwei deliberately pulled me along, her face streaked with tears as she said, "Sister has suffered, sister. I've been busy managing household affairs these past few days and haven't had time to visit you. You wouldn't blame me, would you?" Seeing that I didn't respond, Shi Jinwei assumed I was too ashamed to speak. Growing even more smug, "Has that man who deceived the sister been caught? What kind of scoundrel dares to disrespect our Xia family's eldest young lady?" I raised an eyebrow, my gaze cold. "Who deceived me? Doesn't my sister know?" Seeing me pressuring, Jiyu Xiangming protectively shielded Shi Jinwei behind him. "Jinluo, don't speak nonsense. How could Weiwei know who your paramour is?" Father was so angry he could hardly contain himself, shouting sharply, "Enough, Shi Jinwei. You are now part of the Jiyu family, and there's no need for you to meddle in your sister's affairs. If you behave properly, I can allow you to stay for dinner, but if you've come to mock your sister, then leave now." Shi Jinwei's birth mother was my mother's personal maid. Taking advantage of my mother's pregnancy, she secretly drugged my father and conceived Shi Jinwei. My mother was so enraged that she fell gravely ill and soon passed away. For this reason, father has always harbored resentment towards her birth mother, and consequently, he doesn't treat this daughter well either. When Shi Jinwei heard this, her eyes reddened, and large teardrops began to fall. Leaning weakly in Jiyu Xiangming's embrace, she said, "Husband, since the family doesn't welcome us, let's go back." Jiyu Xiangming couldn't bear to see Shi Jinwei suffer, but he didn't dare confront my father, so he vented all his anger on me. "Shi Jinluo, did you gossip with my father-in-law? It was you who were unfaithful first, yet you have the audacity to accuse me. Yesterday, I even discussed with Weiwei, planning to take you as a concubine despite past grievances. I never realized Jiyu Xiangming was so shameless before. Today, I finally saw it." I laughed bitterly in anger. Who is really the one accusing first? Captain Jiyu should have a clear mind about that. As for being a concubine, I don't care for it. Seeing that I was unappreciative, Jiyu Xiangming turned to my father and said, "Father-in-law, you are well aware of Jin Luo's current reputation. Apart from me, who else would want her? You should really talk some sense into her." "Father-in-law." My father stretched and walked out, answering indifferently, "My daughter makes her own decisions. Even if she never marries in her lifetime, I can still support her. Seeing that a tough approach wasn't working, Jiyu Xiangming immediately softened his tone and coaxed me. Alright, Luo, I know you're still mad at me, but I had no choice either. Wei Wei is your sister, and if news of her pregnancy gets out, it won't reflect well on the Shi family's reputation. I almost laughed out loud at his twisted logic. The reputation of a concubine's daughter can affect the Shi family. But what about me, the legitimate eldest daughter? I sneered. Fine, you two, one is a scoundrel and the other is a playboy. Spend the rest of your lives together and stop harming others. I grew up with Jiyu Xiangming, and we were betrothed since childhood. Not holding it against him was my final act of grace. Unfortunately, he wasn't willing to let me go. Shijin Luo, taking you as my concubine was the first time Wei Wei ever asked me for something. I won't let her down. You'll marry whether you want to or not. The next morning, Jiyu Xiangming barged into the Shi family's home with a box of betrothal gifts without any explanation. My father, seeing the pitifully meager betrothal gifts, was so angry he almost fainted. He pointed at Jiyu Xiangming's nose and cursed loudly. You're truly a beast, not to mention whether my daughter is willing to marry you. But with these scraps of metal, you think you can take away my cherished gem? Jiyu Xiangming looked respectful. But his words were extremely harsh. Please calm down, father-in-law. Everyone in the entire Jiangsu prefecture knows that Shijin Luo is a ruined woman. As your son-in-law, I have already done my utmost by coming here despite the rumors. Father-in-law, let's not dwell on these details. When Shijin Wei arrived shortly after, her expression was somewhat peculiar, but she also chimed in. Father, these are all carefully selected by your daughter. Please don't disdain them, you know. The Jiyu family now relies entirely on my husband's meager salary. We are doing our best with limited means. When my father thought of the lavish betrothal gifts of gold and jewels Jiyu Xiangming had given to Shijin Wei, he became so furious that he felt dizzy. He waved his sleeve at me and said, Daughter, handle this yourself. I really don't want to see these two beasts anymore. After seeing my father off, I looked at the worthless pile of junk in the cart. Knowing that Jiyu Xiangming's once profound vows to me had long since vanished like smoke, the 68 sets of betrothal gifts he had accumulated over decades, and the wedding dress specially sewn by a tailor, were all given to Shijin Wei, everything that once belonged to me. And the boy who had once looked at me with nothing but love, had already drifted far away 4 years ago. That year, Shijin Wei came to claim kinship with her mother's heirlooms in hand, and my father and I, in silent understanding, took out silver to send her away. She couldn't find anyone to turn to and could only cling to Jiyu Xiangming's leg. Brother, please help me plead my case. Jiyu Xiangming didn't outwardly agree, but from then on, whenever we went on dates, he always brought Shijin Wei along. Back then, I questioned him about it, and he looked genuinely sad. Since Wei Wei calls me brother, just treat her as my sister who passed away early. Although I was unwilling, I chose to endure for the sake of Xiangming's emotions. Back then, I was foolish, mistaking the flirtatious glances between the two as sibling affection. It wasn't until Shijin Wei was deceived into losing her innocence and Xiangming flew into a rage that I finally understood the underlying issues. Unfortunately, it was all too late. 12 years of companionship couldn't withstand a tender call of brother. Suppressing the sourness in my throat, I calmly said, Please return. I will be getting married in a few days. I hope you two will not disturb me again. Jiyu Xiangming was momentarily stunned, but soon a sarcastic smile appeared on his lips. Jin Luo, stop being stubborn. Don't say Jiangsu County. Even the neighboring Hazhou probably wouldn't dare to take you in, would they? Yes, sister, stop trying to act tough. Your sister feels heartbroken watching you. Shijin Wei said this as she took out a jade bracelet from the betrothal gifts and placed it in my palm, saying, Look, this is something my husband and I specially went to buy for you this morning. It cost 3 taels of silver. I glanced at the row of pearls on Shijinwei's hem and chuckled. 3 taels? That probably wouldn't even be enough to buy the pearls on my sister's dress, would it? Jiyu Xiangming grew even more furious. Jinluo, that's enough. You're here as a concubine. How can you compare yourself to the main wife? Besides, who else would give you anything now, apart from me? 3 taels is already giving you more than enough face. As soon as the words left my mouth, a strange servant entered through the door. He handed me a brocade box and said, "Miss Shi, this is a gift from my master for your meeting. Though not particularly valuable, it is one of a kind in the world." The wooden Buddhist prayer beads inside the brocade box emitted a faint, pleasant fragrance. I carefully took it out and was about to put it on. Unexpectedly, Jiyu Xiangming knocked it out of my hand. He disdainfully looked at the bracelet lying on the ground and sneered, "Jin Luo, even if you're staging a show, you can't use something so worthless, can you?" I was momentarily stunned, and Shijinwei covered her mouth, laughing. "That's right, sister, who gives a love token like this piece of junk?" It was only then that I realized. So, they thought I had just found someone to put on a show for them. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them, so I crouched down and carefully wiped the dust off the object. The servant watched everything and couldn't help but remind him. "Captain Jiyu, this is something left by our empress, the lady, for the young master. It's priceless. Don't underestimate it." Jiyu Xiangming raised his hand and lightly slapped the servant's face in displeasure, his voice icy. "You're quite cooperative with her, aren't you? How much silver did she give you?" "I'll double it. Speak the truth boldly." The servant's face turned red with anger as he pointed at Jiyu Xiangming and said, "You are truly, utterly unreasonable. I'm going back to tell the young master, and you'll be in big trouble." Seeing the servant hurry away, Jiyu Xiangming believed he was feeling guilty and laughed even more arrogantly. "Shi Jinluo, your people can't even pretend anymore. So who are you acting for now?" Seeing that I didn't respond, Jiyu Xiangming felt very uncomfortable. He kicked the bracelet away and stomped on it firmly. "Enough. I know you're just feeling unbalanced and trying to provoke me. Considering how many years you've been with me, as long as you kneel and serve tea to Weiwei, I might consider making you a secondary wife." When Shijinwei heard this, she raised her head high, her confident demeanor suggesting she was already certain I would agree. I ignored him and pushed hard against Jiyu Xiangming's foot, trying to retrieve the bracelet. But after all, he was from a military background, and my strength was insignificant compared to his. Seeing my disheveled state, Shi Jinwei sneered, "Sister, if I were you, I'd listen to my husband. Don't be stubborn, we're doing this for your own good." "Ah!" Before the words had even finished, Jiyu Xiangming let out a pained scream. Shi Jinwei, seeing Jiyu Xiangming clutching his bloody left foot and writhing in pain on the ground, exclaimed in horror, "Sister, how could you harm your future husband?" I tossed aside the blooded dagger, picked up the bracelet, and shrugged nonchalantly. "Future husband? When did I ever agree to marry him? If your sister's ears don't work well, I might as well cut them off for you, so they don't get in the way." Shi Jinwei's face turned bright red, and she was so angry that she was momentarily speechless. After a long while, she managed to blurt out, "Even if you don't agree, you've committed the crime of intentional injury." I picked up the drumstick for the petition drum and handed it to Shi Jinwei. "Then sue me. Since it's our father who will preside over the case anyway, I'd like to see if, given that you provoked me first, this counts as self-defense." Jiyu Xiangming finally caught his breath, fully aware of my father's tendency to favor his own, knowing that accusing me would be futile. So he put on a fake smile again and said, Luo, I know you've been wronged recently, so it's understandable if your behavior has been a bit off. I don't blame you. But hurting me over a worthless bracelet is really going too far. Burn that worthless bracelet, and I'll forgive you this time." I stroked the bracelet and sneered, The broken bracelet you speak of is made of top-grade agarwood, Jiyu Xiangming. I never realized your taste was so poor before, but it's no wonder, considering you've fallen for a woman like Shi Jinwei." Seeing Shi Jinwei start to cry again, Jiyu Xiangming felt an unbearable pain in his heart and left a harsh remark, "Shi Jinluo. Just you wait, I won't let you get away with this. Once you're married into the Jiyu family, let's see if you still dare to bully Weiwei." I didn't take Jiyu Xiangming's words to heart and instead busied myself with preparations for the wedding. Ning Yang hadn't shown up these past few days, and I was actually quite uneasy, afraid he might change his mind at the last moment. I've already gone through one broken engagement, and if it happens again, I fear I won't be able to handle it. The servant who delivered the bracelet has been helping me these past 2 days. Seeing my anxiousness, he comforted me. "Miss Shi, don't worry, the young master won't go back on his word. That bracelet was the only thing the Empress Dowager left for the young master when she sent him away. By giving it to you, he's showing his determination." After hearing his words, I finally relaxed a little, but the heavy burden in my heart never fully lifted. I had thought that I would wake up to see Ning Yang, but instead, it was Jiyu Xiangming who arrived. He rode a tall horse, smiling in the spring breeze as he listened to the flattery around him. Captain Jiyu is truly a good man, going so far as to humble himself to marry the eldest daughter of the Shi family for the sake of Governor Shi's honor. Isn't that the truth? I heard that the man who committed adultery with Miss Shi ran away, and Captain Jiyu took it upon himself to take care of Miss Shi. Captain Jiyu is such a man's man. I was originally sitting quietly in my boudoir when I heard the maid bring this news. Without thinking too much, I rushed out of the mansion and blocked Jiyu Xiangming outside. "Jiyu Xiangming, I've made it very clear to you, I'm getting married, and the groom is not you. Can you have some self-respect?" Jiyu Xiangming was completely unruffled. He leaned down close to my ear and whispered with a low laugh, "I've inquired. It was Ning Yang who said he wanted to marry you, wasn't it?" I didn't answer, just stared at him intently, unsure of what he was plotting. He laughed arrogantly, pointing behind him and said, "Look, besides me, where else is there a wedding procession? Luo Luo, Ning Yang never intended to marry you. You've been played, it's impossible," he promised me. I didn't want him to see my panic, but my reddening eyes betrayed my emotions, seeing that I was still unwilling to accept it. Jiyu Xiangming continued, "I asked all the soldiers, and Ning Yang disappeared after meeting you that day. It's been so many days, and there's no news at all. Isn't this obviously running away?" Seeing my helplessness, Jiyu Xiangming revealed a satisfied smile. He reached out to me. "Don't hesitate, Luo Luo. In fact, you know better than anyone how I treat you. I admit I feel sorry for Weiwei, but I also can't bear to part with you, all these years. You are the one who understands me the most. When you marry into our family, even if it's as a concubine, I won't treat you poorly. Yes, I am the one who knows him best. I know he prefers sweet over spicy, so I never order spicy food when we're together, gradually adapting to his taste. I know he has an old knee injury, so I never ask him to do anything dangerous with me. Instead, intentionally asking him to accompany me to enjoy flowers and fly kites during others' spring hunting and horse racing. But what about him? After Shi Jinwei joined us, every meal we ordered was spicy. He only remembered that Shi Jinwei couldn't live without spicy food, but forgot that I could no longer tolerate even a hint of chili. With Shi Jinwei around, he no longer accompanied me to enjoy flowers and fly kites, but instead, despite his injuries, took Shi Jinwei horseback riding and hunting. I once advised him not to hurt himself for Shi Jinwei, but he casually replied, "She's my sister, of course, I need to spoil her more." When I thought of this, I took a deep breath and made up my mind. No need. If Ning Yang really deceived me, I will remain unmarried for the rest of my life. Jiyu Xiangming frowned, displeased. "Don't be ungrateful. since I've come today, I don't intend to leave empty-handed, Shijin Luo, if you don't cooperate. Don't blame me for not giving you face." As soon as the words left his mouth, the sound of hooves suddenly echoed from behind. Ning Yang arrived in a large red wedding gown, covered in dust and wind. "Brother Ji, today is my wedding. Are you here to steal the bride?" Ning Yang pulled me behind him and, with a playful raise of his eyebrows, said, "Brother Ji, as far as I know, you first broke off your engagement with Luo Luo before marrying Shijinwei, right?" Ji Xiangming stiffened his neck. His reasoning flawed but his tone defiant. "So what? Today I am taking a concubine. I don't need a marriage certificate." Ning Yang smiled and said, "Taking a concubine indeed does not require a marriage certificate, but both parents must agree, right?" After speaking, Ning Yang looked at my father who had just walked out the door and asked, "Minister Shi, do you agree to betrothing Miss Shi to him?" Father glared harshly at Ji Xiangming and declared loudly, "How could I possibly agree to a scoundrel who breaks off an engagement on a whim and harms his fiancée?" The onlooking crowd, hearing this, began to murmur in confusion. What does Lord Shi mean by this? Could it be that the annulment of the engagement wasn't due to Miss Shi's infidelity after all? I wouldn't believe it if anyone else said it, but Lord Shi is known for his integrity. He wouldn't slander others for the sake of his own daughter. I also believe in Lord Shi. It seems there's more to Miss Shi's affair than meets the eye. Ji Xiangming was visibly anxious. He quickly grabbed Ning Yang and said, "We're the best of brothers. Don't undermine me." Ning Yang gave me a complicated, ambiguous look and didn't continue. Instead, he said with a hint of threat, "Not saying is fine, but you have to do as I say." Ji Xiangming knew that if the scandal of him getting drunk and framing Ning Yang and me to marry Shijinwei came to light, he would be drowned in the spittle of the common folk, so he had no choice. "Speak. Clarify to everyone that you and Luo Luo broke off your engagement half a year ago." Although Ji Xiangming hesitated, he had no choice but to agree. "Dear fellow villagers, today I am here to pave the way for my brother. In fact, I and Miss Shi broke off our engagement half a year ago. Miss Shi and brother Ning are in a mutual relationship, not committing adultery." There was a loud uproar among the crowd. "I knew it. We've watched Miss Shi grow up, and she's always been a well-mannered young lady. How could she possibly have an affair with someone?" "Exactly. With such a great father like Lord Shi, how could his daughter be anything but excellent? May Lord Ning and Miss Shi have a blissful union, and may Lord Shi find a worthy son-in-law." I smoothly entered the bridal sedan of the Ning family, leaving Ji Xiangming trembling with rage at the original spot. That night, Ning Yang, drunk, lifted my bridal veil. He sat nervously beside me, his hands constantly tapping his knees. I held his hands and said, "Why are you more nervous than me?" Ning Yang stammered, "I've never been married before." I chuckled, "I haven't either." We both burst out laughing, easing the awkward atmosphere significantly. Ning Yang put his arm around my shoulder and asked, "I'm late today. Do you blame me?" I shook my head. "No, I don't. I was just really scared at the time. Afraid you might stand me up." Ning Yang scratched his head, feeling guilty. "After you agreed to marry me that day, I secretly went back to the capital and told my mother about our engagement. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair to you." I was deeply touched, because I knew how dangerous it was for him to return to the capital. Ning Yang's real name is actually Lu Huairang, the sixth son of the current emperor, but as soon as he was born, a severe drought struck the land. The Bureau of Astronomy declared him a calamity star, an ill omen. To save his life, the emperor and empress were forced to send him to Jiangju, a remote and desolate place, to fend for himself. If his return to the capital were exploited by those with ill intent, it could cost him his head. I hugged him and said, "I understand everything. It's good to have you back. What's important is..." Ning Yang still felt a bit guilty. Today, I didn't expose Ji Xiangming's true nature. Do you blame me? How could I? I am well aware of Ning Yang's intentions behind this, because only in this way can I no longer be subject to criticism. He doesn't want to punish my future with Jiyu Xiangming's crime. Ning Yang hugged me with relief. It's still my wife who is the most reasonable. Don't worry. Jiyu Xiangming won't get away. I will make sure he pays for what is done. All right, I trust you. Ning Yang raised his hand to lower the bed curtain, and we both stayed awake all night. Although it wasn't the first time, I felt very fortunate. Marrying the wrong bride led to the right groom. Jiyu Xiangming's betrayal, by a twist of fate, brought me to the right person. The next morning, Ning Yang had already left. I was having breakfast when I overheard the maids whispering. Jiyu the adjutant has been standing outside all night. Should we inform the madam? I don't know. The young master instructed that we are not to disturb the madam with anything. I cleared my throat lightly and said calmly, if he wants to stay, let him stay. Don't bother. Lingxi, the maid who came with me as part of the dowry, couldn't help but ask curiously, Miss, don't you want to go out and scold him, or at least hear what he has to say? I shook my head. There's nothing particularly interesting. Everyone has their own life. The path he chose is his own. Whether he lives well or not is none of my business. Ning Yang returned just before dinner. A servant followed behind him, complaining. The young master insisted on rushing back to have dinner with the madam, and it nearly killed me and the horse. He never starved to death by skipping a meal before. Ning Yang slapped the servant on the back of the head. No one thinks you're mute if you don't speak. I served Ning Yang a bowl of hot soup, kindly reminding him, if you're busy, you don't need to come back specially to accompany me. Ning Yang held my hand tightly, reluctant to let go, and said, nothing is more important than my own wife. After saying that, he turned serious again. I've sent someone to investigate Jiyu Xiangming. Once we find his flaws, we can arrest him. Seeing Ning Yang's tired eyes, I felt heartache and said, my lord, you could use my case to convict him. I don't mind. It's just reputation. If it's lost, we can earn it back. No, Ning Yang firmly refused. I've said it before. Matters concerning my wife's reputation are not something I would joke about. Don't mention this to anyone in the future. I'll handle everything. Even if we can't find evidence of Jiyu Xiangming's crimes, I have ways to fabricate one for him. I leaned gratefully into Ning Yang's embrace, choking back tears as I said, thank you, husband. Ning Yang suddenly became serious and said, by the way, madam, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. I've found the mastermind behind the slander that ruined me back then. We can return to the capital once we hand him over to the emperor. I understand what he means, so I counter-asked, husband, do you want to go back? He laughed openly, saying, I don't mind, I'll do whatever my wife says. I recall hearing the story of the sixth prince from a storyteller at a tea house many years ago. He was the youngest son of the empress, and the emperor held high hopes for him. Since Ning Yang's 5 older brothers are all mediocre and incapable of shouldering great responsibilities, so he was showered with attention even before he was born, perhaps fearing that he would seize the position of crown prince. Some schemers took advantage of the severe drought during the year of his birth to spread malicious rumors, accusing him of being a harbinger of calamity. The ministers pleaded desperately, and the emperor and empress, forced into a corner, could only send him away. It is said that when he left, he was still in swaddling clothes, accompanied only by a wet nurse and a hidden guard. Over the years, no one knew where he had gone, no one knew how much suffering he had endured, and even everyone was unsure if he was still alive. I stroked a strand of silver hair at the side of Ning Yang's temple and asked with heartache, how have you been all these years? Ning Yang laughed nonchalantly, it's all in the past. Look, aren't we doing fine? Seeing his unyielding edges despite enduring so much hardship, I made up my mind, I'll go back with you, take back what rightfully belongs to you. Ning Yang planned to secretly return to the capital to do what he had to do, All I could do was protect myself, allowing him to move forward without distraction. The day I saw him off, the first snow of early winter fell. I watched his figure disappear from sight, reluctant to turn back for a long time. Only when the snow grew heavier and soaked my clothes did I say to Lingxi, "Let's go home." Who would have thought that as soon as I turned around, I saw a familiar figure. Jiyu Xiangming stood behind me holding an umbrella, his eyes filled with pain. He walked up to me, raised the oil paper umbrella over my head, and said softly, "You'll catch a cold if you get wet." "Thank you." I uttered polite words, but my steps retreated, intentionally creating distance between us. Seeing that I had little to say, Jiyu Xiangming grabbed me forcefully, saying, "Luo Luo, you've been avoiding me for so long, are you still blaming me?" Jiyu Xiangming's grip on my hand was very strong, and I struggled to break free. "Captain Jiyu, please behave yourself. I am now a married woman." Jiyu Xiangming, as if he hadn't heard, said with reddened eyes, "Answer my question." I knew that evasion wouldn't solve anything, so I confessed. At first, it was strange, but now it's not. If it weren't for you, I don't think I would have ever met such a wonderful husband. Jiyu Xiangming was a bit surprised, but he still couldn't bring himself to believe it. "Luo Luo, you can't possibly be in love with him, can you?" I nodded firmly. Jiyu Xiangming's eyes turned even redder, and he kept shaking his head. "It's impossible. How long have you two even known each other? How could you possibly fall in love with him so quickly? How could you possibly let go of our decade-long relationship?" I sighed and poured a bucket of cold water over his head. "What's impossible about that? Our decade-long relationship? Weren't you already shaken the first time you met Jin Wei?" Jiyu Xiangming knew he was in the wrong, but he still wasn't willing to let go so easily. "I just feel that Wei Wei is very pitiful, and I want to protect her. Luo Luo, you are the one I've wanted to marry since I was a child." I didn't want to listen to any more of his nonsense, but just as I was about to leave, I spotted someone eavesdropping from around the corner not far away. I changed my mind and continued to ask, "Is it really just out of pity for her that you could be so heartless as to ruin my innocence?" Jiyu Xiangming said guiltily, "It was Wei Wei who said you're strong-willed, and only by ruining your reputation would you feel embarrassed to cause a scene at our wedding." I let out a cold laugh. "She sure knows me well," Jiyu Xiangming continued to explain. "Actually, I already regretted it after locking you and Ning Yang in the same room, but Wei Wei kept clinging to me, crying, and I didn't have the chance to go back and stop it." I watched as his head drooped lower and lower, and I asked, "What about now? Do you regret it?" Jiyu Xiangming sighed. "Of course I regret it. How could I not? The child in Wei Wei's belly isn't mine, and I endured it. Because I always thought that once you married into our family, you would definitely be willing to give me a child of our own." Jiyu Xiangming choked up as he spoke, and after a long pause, he continued, "Luo Luo, I know you married Ning Yang because of that night, not because you truly love him. Life is short, and spending it with someone you don't love is the most tragic thing. So, can you forgive me just this once and give me a chance to make it up to you?" I didn't refuse, instead asking, "But I won't be a secondary wife, let alone a concubine. What should we do then?" Jiyu Xiangming's face instantly lit up with hope, and he exclaimed with joy, "You agreed, Luo Luo. Don't worry, as long as you're willing to come back to my side, I'll immediately demote Shi Jinwei to a concubine." I squinted and asked, "Are you really willing? What's there to be unwilling about? She was never a virgin to begin with, and she's carrying someone else's child. Allowing her to be a concubine is already more than she deserves." Looking at the man I had loved for so many years, I suddenly felt a sense of unfamiliarity. The Jiyu Xiangming I once knew was responsible, dependable, capable of handling things, and a man who gave people a strong sense of security. But the person in front of me now was a cowardly and impulsive man, one who dared to do things but lacked the courage to take responsibility. I didn't want to see him anymore. I wearily walked to the corner. See it clearly now. This is the man you risked your life to take away from me. The next day, as soon as I finished lunch, Lindsay came rushing in excitedly. Madam, there's great news. You'll definitely be interested. Oh, tell me about it. Lindsay danced with excitement, saying, this morning, Jiyu Xiangming went to the barracks on duty, all bruised and battered. Everyone says it was his wife who did it. I propped my head up, listening with great interest. That doesn't make sense. He's a military general. How could he not even beat a pregnant woman? Lindsay tilted her head, pondering for a moment, and speculated, probably because she's pregnant, he couldn't bear to strike her. After all, one loves their wife. But one loves their child even more. I shook my head and whispered to Lindsay, that child isn't his, so what's there to love? Lindsay's eyes widened as she pulled me aside to ask, is that true? But didn't Jiyu the adjutant say that the child was conceived on their wedding night? I patted Lindsay's hand and smiled. Don't rush, just wait a bit longer. There should be more drama to come. I couldn't shake the feeling that what Jiyu Xiangming told me that day wasn't just a lie to placate me. If his regret was genuine, then he wouldn't care about preserving Shi Jinwei's reputation anymore. After receiving such a beating, Jiyu Xiangming was probably plotting something big. Just like when he framed me before, it seemed calm on the surface, but undercurrents were surging. As expected, 5 days later, my father received a complaint. It was from an unfamiliar man accusing Shi Jinwei of being fickle and irresponsible, having pledged herself to him in secret, getting pregnant with his child, and then climbing to a higher branch. The soldiers brought Shi Jinwei to the court, shouting her innocence all the way, but her face turned pale as soon as she saw the man. Lindsay and I hid behind the screen behind our father, our eyes wide with concentration as we watched the spectacle. Lindsay whispered to me, Miss, could this be the child's real father? I nodded, judging by her expression, it's probably about right. Where has this man been before? Why is he only thinking of looking for her now? Before I could answer Lindsay's question, I saw Jiyu Xiangming running over, gasping for breath. Without a word, he raised his foot and kicked the man in the chest, shouting angrily, who is this scoundrel that dares to slander my wife? Seeing Jiyu Xiangming stand up for her, Shi Jinwei quickly hid in his arms and sobbed softly, husband, didn't you tell me everything was taken care of? Why is he here? Jiyu Xiangming frowned tightly, puzzled, I don't know either. I clearly had someone send him out of the border pass. Seeing the couple whispering to each other, the man immediately beat his chest and stamped his feet. Your Honor, they are in cahoots. You must uphold justice for me. I am the only son in my family. A few days ago, I got injured while working, and the doctor said I can no longer carry on the family line. Pointing at Shi Jinwei's belly, the man declared firmly, so I must take back my child. Shi Jinwei was so nervous that sweat broke out on her forehead. She stammered, This is my husband's child. You're talking nonsense. The man was not to be outdone. He pulled out a red embroidered bellaband from his arms and held it in his hands. Your Honor, this is something I secretly took after having an affair with Shi Jinwei. I wanted to keep it as a memento. If it weren't for the fact that I'm now childless, I wouldn't have wanted to disturb her. After all, we truly loved each other. The man spoke with such sincerity that the onlookers were already convinced. Lindsay curiously continued to ask, it seems the evidence is conclusive. I wonder how Jiyu Xiangming will save her. I couldn't help but laugh. How could he possibly save her? Lindsay looked puzzled. Look at him protecting his own like that. It's impossible not to save her. I pointed to the red bellaband on the ground and whispered, do you see how the mandarin ducks on the bellyband are missing an eye? Lindsay suddenly understood. That's from the night of their wedding. I was so angry that I sneaked into her room and tore it off. Exactly. The bellaband was still there on their wedding night. How could it be something left over from their secret affair? Lingxi slapped her forehead. So it was Jiyu Xiangming who gave this man the item. This man was also specially brought back by him to lodge a complaint. I gave her a thumbs up and praised, smart. Shi Jinwei was originally punished lightly. Father only ordered Jiyu Xiangming to divorce his wife, commanding Shi Jinwei to return to that man's home and live a peaceful life. Unexpectedly, Shi Jinwei was unwilling and insisted that this was Jiyu Xiangming's intention. Just as she was about to reveal the matter of Jiyu Xiangming harming me, she was interrupted by my father, truly unrepentant. Falsely accusing and implicating military generals is a capital offense. Guards, take him away and execute him on a chosen day. Only after everyone had left did my father finally relax. Even in death, he wants to drag my daughter down with him. Dream on. I couldn't help but remind him. Dad, she's also your daughter. My father rolled his eyes dismissively. I don't have a daughter who's so fickle, vicious, and only thinks about harming her own sister. Jiyu Xiangming, having narrowly escaped disaster, found me first. He was overjoyed as he confessed to me, Luo Luo. Shi Jinwei is about to die, and no one will be able to come between us anymore. Before the words had even finished, Jiyu Xiangming was surrounded by soldiers. The leading general produced an arrest warrant and declared, Captain Jiyu Xiangming of the Jiangju Military Academy, guilty of treason and colluding with the enemy. Evidence is conclusive. Imprison him in the death cell, to be executed by dismemberment at a later date. Jiyu Xiangming was utterly confused, repeatedly protesting. I did not collude with the enemy or commit treason. Have you made a mistake? The general presented a stack of letters, bearing the enemy's seal as well as Jiyu Xiangming's personal seal. The case was personally reviewed by the 6th prince and re-examined by the emperor. There can't be any mistakes. Just come with us quietly. Jiyu Xiangming was even more confused. 6th prince. I have never met the 6th prince before. How could he have my private letters? This is clearly a frame-up. Before he could finish, a familiar voice came from behind him. Brother Jiyu and I live and dine together. How can you say we are strangers? Jiyu Xiangming was instantly dumbfounded, stammering, Ning Yang. The general kicked Jiyu Xiangming and sternly said, no sense of hierarchy, this is our 6th prince. Ning Yang smiled and said, I forgot to explain to brother Jiyu, my real name is Lu Huairang. Jiyu Xiangming trembled like a sieve, terrified. Why would the 6th prince slander me? Ning Yang bent down and whispered into Jiyu Xiangming's ear, of course, it's to frame you, for revenge for my wife. On the day Jiyu Xiangming and Shi Jinwei were executed by dismemberment, Jiangju, which had been snowing heavily for half a month, suddenly saw the sun break through. I stood in the courtyard, looking up at a ray of sunlight piercing through the clouds, and murmured to myself, it's good, it's all over. Warm, large hands grasped my shoulders. And Ning Yang gently kissed my forehead. It's not over yet. The road ahead might have even heavier snow than this. Are you afraid? I looped my arm through Ning Yang's and retorted, are you afraid? With my wife by my side, I'm not afraid. With my husband by my side, I have nothing to fear. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My half-sister schemed to switch our marriages, taking my place as the noble lady on our wedding night. I was forced to marry the dissolute second son of the marquisate. My half-sister thought that marrying the rogue second son would make me weep bitterly and envy her. Little did they know, I possess a keen eye for discerning people, and I had long seen through the fact that although the noble son held a prestigious status, he was congenitally deficient. If he were to marry, it was likely that the couple would not harmonize, and bearing children would be difficult. In contrast, the second son was tall and strong, endowed with exceptional talents. After marriage, the marital bed would surely be filled with joy. On our wedding night, I spent the entire night with the second son. While my half-sister and the noble son failed to consummate their marriage, the next day, my half-sister cried and protested, claiming she was still a virgin, demanding that we switch back. I cried and threw myself into the arms of the second young master. Husband, the rice is already cooked. How can we switch back? If my husband refuses to take responsibility for me, I will have no choice but to die. The usually carefree second young master, with a heart full of pity, embraced me tightly. His expression cold, he looked at my half-sister and said, "Sister-in-law, please behave. You are already my elder brother's wife. Do not speak recklessly and frighten my wife. My name is Xie Jiaotang, the legitimate daughter of the minister's mansion, betrothed to Xiao Chengyi, the heir of the Marquis of Pingyang's estate. My elder sister, Xie Ruoheng, is of a concubine birth, betrothed to Xiao Ji, the second son and younger brother of the heir. Originally, the brothers of the Marquis's estate were to marry on the same day, turning us sisters into sisters-in-law, a beautiful tale. On the day of the wedding, my sister deliberately swapped my dragon and phoenix bridal veil with her mandarin duck bridal veil, rushed into the bridal chamber ahead of me with the noble son, Xiao Chengyi. I drank the aphrodisiac my half-sister served me before leaving, unable to control my emotions, writhing like a maggot on the bed. It's so unbearable. At this moment, all the maids and matrons have withdrawn, leaving only me in the bridal chamber. Several times I wanted to tear off the troublesome dress. But my upbringing as a lady restrained the desire in my heart. Vaguely, I heard footsteps outside, and a maid spoke up, "Second young master." The person did not respond and walked in directly. Pushing the door open, I heard a deep and magnetic male voice say, "Xie, our marriage was arranged by our parents and matchmakers. I have no feelings for you, and forcing it would be useless. Tonight, I'll sleep in the study, let's each rest." Before he could finish, I grabbed him and pulled him onto the bed. I took his burning hand and placed it over my chest. "Husband, I feel so unwell. Husband, help me." Xiao Ji was first startled, instinctively wanting to pull his hand back. "Xie, what are you doing? Behave yourself." Seeing my delicate beauty and flushed cheeks, he couldn't help but blush. You are a lady of noble birth. How can you be so reckless?" Xiao Ji marrying my concubine sister was out of necessity. From the beginning, he disapproved of this marriage, and he didn't even show up for the meeting. Therefore, he doesn't know that I am not Xie Ruoheng but Xie Jiaotang. Now that I've grabbed him, he reveals a look of admiration in his eyes. But I immediately recognize that this person in front of me is not the Marquis's son I was supposed to meet, but his younger brother. Xiao Ji, an image of that day arose in my mind, when lady who visited the Ministry of Revenue with her two sons, having spent long years in seclusion, well read in hundreds of romance novels, I was instantly captivated by the towering figure of the second son, Xiao Ji, who stood at an imposing 8 feet tall. But my parents firmly quashed any such thoughts. Although the second son is also of noble birth, he is the child of a secondary wife. He is approaching the age of 20. Yet he does not strive for progress, has no interest in fame or success, and spends his days mingling with the sons of nobility, which is most improper. How could he compare to the eldest son, who is gentle, refined, and at a young age, already holds an official position? As the eldest daughter of the Xie family, I had no choice but to comply with my parents' arrangements and become engaged to the eldest son, becoming his future sister-in-law. Yet, his tall and imposing figure, along with his extraordinary and heroic appearance, still lingered in my mind, impossible to forget. Midnight dreams stir a feverish heat, making it even more embarrassing to speak of. Seeing the person I yearn for right in front of me now, I convince myself I must be drunk, imagining things, tears welling up as I cling to him. "Husband, I don't know what I mistakenly took, But I feel terrible right now. Feel how fast my heart is beating. Am I going to die? Unlike my elder sister's cool and slender figure, I was nourished with soups and broths by my mother since childhood, and by the age of 16, I had developed a delicate and curvaceous body. Xiao Ji's birth mother came from a military family. He often engaged in cockfighting and dog walking, and there were instances of fighting and brawls, but he never indulged in sleeping with prostitutes. There wasn't even a concubine in his room, now that I was clinging to him tightly. His palm touching the rise and fall of my chest, he was visibly flustered, as if burned, quickly retracted. "Xie, you, don't do this, speak properly. If you're not feeling well, I'll call a doctor for you. Don't get physical, I don't understand. The person who used to be so eager in the middle of the night. Why are they so reserved now?" With resentment in my eyes and tears streaming down, I lay my head on his chest, staring at him without blinking. Sob, sob, sob. "Husband, you've changed. When I was in pain before, you always helped me." Xiao Ji was greatly shocked. "Don't talk nonsense. When have I ever helped you?" I clung to his shoulder, pouting coquettishly. "How come you haven't? Since that day at the minister's residence, you have been visiting my dreams every night. You've bullied people so many times, and now you're pretending." Xiao Ji's expression when he looked at me became somewhat complicated. "You often dream of me." I blushed crimson, unable to meet his eyes. I only leaned my head against his chest, affectionately nuzzling him. You still call me a little greedy cat, coaxing me to call you Gidge, and if I don't, you won't let me eat enough." Xiao Ji laughed angrily at my words, raising his hand to grip my chin and lift my face, forcing me to look at him. Well, everyone says men are greedy for beauty and lust, but I never expected a woman like you to have such filthy thoughts. Open your eyes and take a good look. Am I real? Or is this just a dream?" Hearing this, my mind gradually began to clear. I reached out and touched the face that had occupied my thoughts day and night. Is it real?" I slapped my own head forcefully. No, I should have married your elder brother, become the noble lady of the air." When Xiao Ji heard this, his eyes tightened immediately, looking at me in disbelief. "You shameless little woman, dreaming of your husband is one thing, but even coveting your own uncle. Do you want to serve two husbands? How shameless." I wanted to explain to him that it wasn't like that, but the potency of the drug suddenly surged, burning away all my reason. I couldn't hear what Xiao Ji was saying anymore, only finding his chatter unbearably annoying. I decided to just lower my head and seal his lips with mine. My mind returned to the scenes of past night dreams, and I flipped Xiao Ji onto the bed, furiously tearing off both his and my clothes. "Husband, give it to me." Xiao Ji grabbed my hands, trying to resist, but inadvertently let me pull apart his robe, revealing his chest muscles faintly. With my hands restrained and unable to move, I simply lowered my head and bit hard into his left chest. "Ah!" Xiao Ji winced in pain and cursed. "Xie, are you a dog or something?" I took the opportunity to throw off the phoenix crown and ceremonial robes, revealing the white inner garment and the red mandarin duck belly pouch underneath. With a hazy gaze, I gently coaxed him. "Husband, don't be angry. Let me let you bite back." Xiao Ji struggled fiercely. "I don't want to bite you." I had already pressed his face against my chest, cutting off his words. "Xiao Ji, I had thought it would be a natural progression, but unexpectedly." Xiao Ji's willpower was weak. He pushed me away forcefully, his strong hands pressing against my shoulders, preventing me from getting closer. "Xie, calm down. You were drugged. And everything you did was not of your own will. I'm afraid you'll regret it later. So should I find a doctor for you? I'm at a point of no return right now. What I need is him, not a doctor," hastily said. "How can I face anyone in this state? If outsiders see me, who knows what kind of rumors they will spread? A woman's reputation is of utmost importance. Are you trying to take my life?" Husband, Xiao Ji hurriedly explained. No, that's not what I meant. I flipped over and got off him, crying as I undid my skirt. Forget it, husband, if you won't help me, I'll do it myself. After all, among the dowry items mother gave me, there's a wooden dildo. Before I finished speaking, Xiao Ji grabbed my hand that was undoing my skirt, his sword-like eyebrows slightly raised. A hint of anger glimmered in his eyes as he looked at me. What did you say? Tears blurred my vision, and I was at a loss. Mr. Jiao, then I heard Xiao Ji say, on our wedding night, making my wife relieve herself with Mr. Jiao. If word got out, what face would I have left? That night, Xiao Ji and I were like thunder meeting fire, and we didn't stop until the fourth watch of the night. Afterwards, I lay contentedly in Xiao Ji's arms, hugging his neck and cooing, "Husband, you are so kind. If not for your help in relieving me, I might have burned to death." Xiao Ji pressed down on my restless body, his voice carrying a hint of restraint and weariness. "It is quite hot. Stop moving, ancestor. If it weren't for my daily martial arts practice, I'm afraid you would have drained me dry by now." I was in a daze and didn't quite understand what he meant, bluntly asking him, "What is my lord saying? Your servant doesn't understand." Taken by Xiao Ji, who pulled me close by the waist, pressing me against him. "Close your eyes. Sleep." I felt a bit uncomfortable and shifted. "But my lord, you are still." Xiao Ji's voice was stern. "Sleep, I pouted and had no choice but to close my eyes and rest. Fortunately, Xiao Ji had helped me relieve the tension earlier, and the effects of the medicine had already worn off. Listening to the steady heartbeat beside me, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. Just after the fifth watch of the night, the nanny came to urge me to get up. "Miss, don't sleep anymore. It's time to get up and get ready. On the first day of serving the madam and the marquis, we mustn't be late." I groggily opened my eyes, struggling to get out of bed, but I was pulled back by a strong, sturdy arm. Xiao Ji pressed me against his chest, not even bothering to lift his eyelids. His warm lips pressed against my ear as he gently said, "Sleep a little longer." The tent was dimly lit, and all I could vaguely remember was that yesterday I was drugged and mistook the prince, Xiao Qingyi, for his younger brother, Xiao Ji. Fortunately, I didn't say anything I shouldn't have, or else I would be unforgivable even if I died 10,000 deaths. "Young master, it's time to rise. Zhao Tang is to serve tea to her in-laws for the first time today, and she doesn't want to be late." Unexpectedly, as soon as I finished speaking, the man on the bed suddenly opened his eyes. In the dim light, those sharp eyes, like a leopard's, fixed on me, and his voice suddenly turned cold. "What did you call me?" I was bewildered, shyly covering my face with a handkerchief. "My lord." A maid carrying a basin just stepped in from outside, and upon seeing my face, she was so startled that she dropped the copper basin to the ground. "Madam, how did you end up in our second master's room?" As soon as these words were spoken, I was shocked, Xiao Ji was shocked, and everyone in the room was shocked. Xiao Ji looked at me, disbelief flashing in his eyes. You're not Xie Ruoheng, but her younger sister, Xie Zhaotang." I too plopped down on the ground, my face drained of color. You're not the Marquis's eldest son, Xiao Qingyi, but his younger brother, Xiao Ji. Although the person I admire is the second son, Xiao Ji, it was my parents' command and the matchmaker's word that bound me to Xiao Qingyi. Yet here I am, in the bridal chamber with his younger brother. If this gets out, I'll be accused of illicit relations with my brother-in-law. What am I to do? A single misstep could bring shame not only to the entire Xie family but also endanger my own life. Seeing my pale face and streaming tears, Xiao Ji's voice revealed a hint of displeasure. "What's this? Knowing it's me, is this how you react? You were quite clingy just yesterday." I was utterly humiliated, wishing I could find a crack in the ground to disappear into. "Yesterday, I mistakenly took the second master for the young master. Xiao Ji sat on the couch, snorted coldly, and was about to speak when someone from outside reported, "Second master, it's bad, there's a commotion in the main courtyard. The Marquis and Madam are asking for you and second young mistress to come quickly." Upon hearing this, Xiao Ji and I exchanged glances, recalling yesterday's events, and quickly lowered our heads. I imagined that yesterday in Xiao Qingyi's room, it was probably the same scene, so I didn't dare delay and quickly washed up and hurried over. As soon as I entered the main hall, I heard my concubine sister sobbing hesitantly, "Father, mother, your daughter-in-law doesn't know why the bridal sedan chair was carried to the wrong place. Bringing your daughter-in-law to the young master's room." Xiao Qingyi stood coldly to the side, his expression unreadable. When Xie Ruoheng saw us, Xiao Ji. She rushed over. "Husband, I mistakenly took my sister's veil, which led me to the wrong sedan chair and was carried to the prince's room. You must stand up for me, husband." Lady Wang and Marquis Pingyang also chimed in. "Yes, Jia, yesterday's incident was just a misunderstanding. We should quickly rectify the situation before it spreads." Xiao Ji looked her up and down after hearing this, seemingly lost in thought. I, however, felt an inexplicable panic and immediately spoke up. "No. I have already consummated my marriage with the second young master. I am already the second young master's woman." Hearing my words, Xie Ruoheng widened his eyes in shock. "Sister, you and the second young master? No, it can't be." Then she covered her face and began to cry. "Sister, since you are fond of the second young master, why didn't you confess to father and mother earlier? Why go to the trouble of scheming to switch the bridal veil on your wedding day?" As she spoke, she splashed a basin of dirty water onto me. Sure enough, as soon as she said this, Xiao Qingyi's face immediately showed anger. "Xie Jiaotang, is what she said true? I am now Xiao Ji's person, and there is absolutely no way I can have any connection with Xiao Qingyi anymore." But Xie Ruoheng and Xiao Qingyi never consummated their marriage. If Xie Ruoheng returns, what place will I have left? Immediately, I shook my head and cried, sobbing like a pear blossom bathed in rain. "Young master, that day when we met in the back garden of the Ministry of Revenue's residence, we were deeply in love and pledged our lives to each other. Moreover, as the legitimate daughter of the Xie family, why would I abandon my comfortable position as the wife of a noble heir to scheme for my sister's husband?" Xiao Qingyi was young and accomplished, with a reputation that preceded him, so he was quite confident in himself. Upon hearing my words, he believed most of it. But his expression remained grim. "Then tell me, what exactly is going on?" I glanced at Xie Ruoheng upon hearing this, hesitating to speak, then quickly lowered my head. "This, I dare not say." Lady Wang, the Marquis's wife, was a general's daughter with a fiery temper. Anxiously, she pressed further, "My child, what is the matter? At a time like this, what is there to hide? Speak quickly, whatever you know." I pursed my lips, feeling somewhat wronged, and said, "Originally, my sister and I were to be married from our respective courtyards, but my sister insisted that since we are sisters and would later become sisters-in-law, it was a great fortune. She insisted on being married from the same courtyard as me." Again, just before getting into the sedan chair, he brought wine to share with me. It was after drinking the wine that sister gave me that I lost my senses and mistook the second young master for the prince. Now that I think about it, sister must have been scheming for the position of the prince's wife for a long time. Only I don't know why she changed her mind. Xiao Ji stood to the side, deep in thought, and upon hearing this, he simply said, "I can testify to this matter. Miss Xie from yesterday indeed had symptoms of taking herbal medicine. I have never met Miss Xie, and I only thought she was Miss Xie, which is why I consummated the marriage with her." This statement indirectly confirms that I was drugged and framed. As soon as Xiao Ji said this, Xiao Qingyi's expression immediately changed. "You vile woman, How dare you scheme for the position of the Marquis's wife, even going so far as to frame your own sister? Xie Ruoheng was in tears. Unable to defend herself, Your Highness, please investigate clearly. I did not do it. I am well aware of my humble background, not as noble as my sister's birthright. How could I ever dare to aspire to the position of the prince's wife? For now, I can only ask my sister to be a concubine. As soon as she said this, I nearly fainted, my eyes rolling back. Fortunately, Xiao Ji caught me just in time, so I didn't fall. I leaned on Xiao Ji, looking at Xie Ruoheng with a gaze full of resentment. Sobbing and almost unable to stand, I was supposed to marry the eldest son, but by mistake, I ended up consummating the marriage with the second son, so naturally, I am at fault, but sister insists that she had no marital relations with the eldest son, which means she should have known last night. Why didn't she make a scene earlier, but only chose to do so during the morning tea ceremony? If you spent the night alone with the prince last night and claim nothing happened. I certainly don't believe it. Since sister is already the prince's woman, why does she still have to compete with her younger sister for second master? Why does she have to make her younger sister a concubine? Isn't sister hurting her younger sister enough already? I just made up a story out of fear that she might compete with me for the position of the main wife of the second house. Unexpectedly, these words seemed to truly hurt them. Xiao Qingyi and Xie Ruoheng's expressions both turned grim. Madame Wang was only Xiao Qingyi's stepmother but was Xiao Ji's biological mother. Originally, her own son had married a concubine's daughter, but now he had consummated the marriage with me, the legitimate daughter, and she couldn't be happier. My child, what do you mean by that? He asked me. I lifted my head from Xiao Ji's embrace, shyly glancing at him before lowering my gaze again and said, Since I have already become one with second young master, I am willing to marry second young master as his wife. As for the position of the eldest son's wife, let it be given to my elder sister. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Xiao Qingyi was the first to object. No way. The birth mother of Miss Xie is merely an aunt in your Xie family. The son's wife is the future mistress of the marquisate. How can a lowly concubine's daughter possibly take on such a role, if word gets out? Won't it make our Xiao family the laughingstock? Lady Wang said. But she's already been brought in and entered your room. We can't send her back now, can we? Xiao Qingyi snorted coldly. At most, give her the status of a concubine. If she's willing, she can stay. If not, send her back. Xie Ruoheng found himself in a dilemma and could only comply with resentment. Yes, the Marquis of Pingyang stroked his beard and looked at Xiao Ji. What about Jia? Xiao Ji glanced at me in his arms and nodded slightly, saying, I leave it to my parents to decide. The Marquis of Pingyang nodded and said, Good, then Miss Xie II will be Jia's principal wife, and Miss Xie I will be Yi's concubine. I will send someone to the Ministry of Revenue to deliver the message, explaining the reasons, and then go to the government office to change the documents, after much hassle. The names on the marriage certificate changed from mine and Xiao Qingyi's to mine and Xiao Ji's. Only then did the Marquis and Marchioness dismiss us to return to our respective rooms. As we were about to leave, Xie Ruoheng shot me a venomous glare and whispered in a low voice, Did you know all along about the Marquis? Deliberately playing along and succeeding with the second young master, I was completely baffled by her words and looked at her in confusion. What is sister talking about? Zhao Tang doesn't understand. Seeing that my expression wasn't feigned, Xie Ruoheng's resentment grew even more. Noticing that Xiao Qingyi had already walked far away, she hurried to catch up. Seeing that no one was around, I happily linked arms with Xiao Ji. Husband, let's go back to our room. Xiao Ji allowed me to hold his arm as we returned to the house. The servants in the mansion all said that Xiao Ji and I had mistakenly married the wrong bride, but unexpectedly, it led to a good marriage. Listening to the discussions outside, I was also filled with joy. Unexpectedly, as soon as we entered the room, Xiao Ji's expression darkened, and he abruptly let go of my hand. "All right, there's no one here, you don't have to pretend anymore. I know the person you truly love is my elder brother. The reason you married me is only because we already had a marital relationship, and you had no choice." Hearing this, I was first stunned, then quickly welled up with hot tears in my eyes. How could my husband misunderstand me like this? Yes, I admit that yesterday it was because of the herbal medicine that I had intimate contact with you, my husband, but when it comes to the person Zhao Tang truly loves, apart from you, my husband, who else could it be? Yesterday, I was so reckless because I thought I was dreaming. In fact, that day in the garden of the minister's residence, it was you, second master, that I took a liking to. It's only because of my parents' command that I agreed to marry the young master. Every night, I think of Master and several times I wake up realizing it was just a dream, with tears soaking my pillowcase. Fortunately, this time it's real. Upon hearing this, Xiao Ji's face turned red. "But just now, you told Big Brother." I pouted. "I am merely a weak woman. If the truth were to reach the ears of the young master, wouldn't that be quite embarrassing?" What I said was only to save face for the young master. Second master does not understand me and even misinterprets me. Before Xiao Ji could say anything more, I tiptoed and pressed my lips against his. "Second master, don't you understand my feelings?" Xiao Ji's face turned red from my kiss. He was tall, so he had to bend down for me to reach. He couldn't help but accommodate me. Noticing his movement, I smiled and whispered in his ear, "Master, we didn't rest until the 4th watch last night, and then we were woken up again at the 5th watch this morning. I'm so tired. Master, could you please stay and rest with me a little longer?" Xiao Ji instinctively wanted to refuse. "No way. I have a martial arts appointment at the training ground." But upon meeting my gaze, his tone softened. All right, you're so spoiled, I'll stay with you then." With that, he picked me up and placed me on the bed, lying beside me, allowing me to lean on him and fall asleep with his arm around me. After falling asleep, I vaguely had a dream. In the dream, I turned out to be the heroine in a storybook. The woman in the storybook shared the same name as me, but unlike me, she wasn't forced into a marriage swap. Instead, she smoothly married the noble son, Xiao Qingyi. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qingyi had a secret ailment, which I managed to cure using a family remedy passed down from my maternal ancestors. I had thought that the clouds would part and the moon would shine through, but after he recovered, he still refused to touch me, instead carrying on secretly with my half-sister, his sister-in-law. When I accidentally caught them in the act, they became so desperate as to commit murder to cover it up, framing me and my brother-in-law Xiao Ji for adultery and catching us in the act. In the end, I was drowned in a pig cage and died in the pond, while my brother-in-law Xiao Ji was exiled and died on the way to his destination. The fate in the dream was too tragic, and I woke up in fright. "No, don't." Opening my eyes, I saw Xiao Ji staring straight at me, sobbing. I threw myself into his arms. "Husband, you're all right, that's wonderful. I dreamt you died." "Woo, woo." Xiao Ji gently brushed away the stray hairs from my temple. "Silly girl, why are you crying? I'm right here." Dreams are always the opposite of reality. Are they really? But I clearly remember the scenes in the dream being so real, not fake at all. If that were truly the case, then it would make sense why Xie Ruoheng changed his mind, because the young master is incapable of having children. As the young master of the marquisate, Xiao Chengyi has the responsibility and duty to carry on the family line. Now, being unable to have children while occupying the position of young master, if he were to cut off the marquisite's lineage, that would be a grave offense. In my dream, after marrying into the marquis's household, I remained a virgin for 2 full years before finally curing his secret ailment. It ended up benefiting Xiaoruoheng instead. Now that I am Xiao Ji's wife, there is no reason for me to treat Xiao Qingyi. I want to see how he, Xiao Qingyi, will inherit the title of Marquis. Seeing me lost in thought, Xiao Ji tapped my nose. What are you thinking about now? I glanced at Xiao Ji beside me, who was tall and strong with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and I blushed shyly. I was thinking, when I can give birth to an heir for my husband. At this, Xiao Ji immediately started coughing. Cough, cough, we just got married yesterday, and today you're already thinking about having children. I looked at Xiao Ji, thinking that if the young Prince Xiao Qingyi is infertile and we don't have children after several years of marriage, it might be difficult for him to keep his position as the young prince. If Xiao Ji and I were to give birth to a first grandson ahead of schedule, it might even lead to a change in the heir apparent. Xiaoruoheng's reason for drugging me and scheming to switch marriages was simply her disdain for Xiao Ji being a profligate playboy. If the position of heir apparent were taken away from Xiao Qingyi, whom she yearns for, and she is left disappointed, what a delightful scene that would be. But on the surface, she pretends to be virtuous and virtuous. The Marquis's household is sparsely populated, and the Marquis only has 2 sons, the heir apparent and you, second master. If we could have a child to play around us, wouldn't it be more lively? After saying this, she looked at Xiao Ji with her watery eyes. Hesitatingly, could it be that master doesn't want to have a child with me? Xiao Ji, feeling his heart melt under my gaze, quickly grabbed my hand and said, "Of course we do, you can have as many as you want, my dear." I feigned shyness and lowered my head, but the corners of my mouth, no matter how hard I tried, couldn't help but rise. I thought to myself, this is what you said. Then, does Master Xiao prefer boys or girls? Xiao Ji replied, I don't discriminate. I like both boys and girls. A girl should be like you, gentle and beautiful, while a boy should be like me. I'll teach him martial arts and take him horseback riding and archery. I listened to his words and silently took them to heart. The couple had 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. As the saying goes, prolonged time leads to children. Why do nothing? How can there be a child? I lightly teased, husband, I feel unwell. Perhaps the remaining poison is not yet cleared. Xiao Ji's throat tightened, and he rolled together with me. Indeed, he is worthy of being the man I chose at first sight, as he understands my heart. On the 3rd day of returning to our maiden home, Xiao Qingyi, Xiaoruoheng, Xiao Ji, and I went back to the Ministry of Revenue together. The returning bride gifts were all prepared by the Marquis's wife. Although she is a stepmother, she treats Xiao Ji and Xiao Qingyi equally. My parents did not have as much objection to my marriage to Xiao Ji as I had imagined. After all, although Xiao Ji may not be as capable as Xiao Qingyi in inheriting the title of Marquis, he has a powerful maternal family to rely on. Marchioness Wang, born into the house of the Duke of Zhenghua, is the youngest and most beloved daughter of the Duke of Zhenghua. Her father and brothers are all generals in the military, and the family's younger generation is spread throughout the army. The reason I married the Marquis of Pingyang as his second wife was due to my youthful years spent in the military, which delayed my age. I also found the Marquis to be quite handsome and dignified in his prime. This led me to turn down the many talented young men of the capital and marry the widowed Marquis of Pingyang. Becoming a stepmother, marrying him brought me peace and prosperity. Xiaoruoheng is different. Instead of being a proper wife, she became Xiao Qingyi's concubine, which is a disgrace to the family name. Father immediately confronted Xiao Qingyi. Qiu concubine, look at the fine daughter you've raised. Qiu concubine was father's childhood sweetheart, kept as a concubine before their marriage. Mother comes from a merchant family. Although her dowry is substantial, she lacks a prestigious marriage like father's. When Aunt Qiu showed up with her newborn child, mother had no choice but to accept the situation. Over the years, Father has always favored Aunt Chiu and Xie Ruoheng, treating mother with polite indifference. In the past, he doted on Xie Ruoheng even more than on me, his legitimate daughter. This was her chance to latch onto the marriage with Xiao Ji while I was negotiating a betrothal with the Xiao family, originally, as a concubine's daughter. Being able to marry the Marquis's eldest son was already a step up. Who would have thought her ambitions soared higher than the heavens, aiming to seize the position of the heir's wife for herself? Now, she's lost more than she gained, having offended the heir, Xiao Qingyi. This time, Xiao Qingyi came to the door to demand an explanation. Qiu Yinyang, who usually acted without the decorum of a concubine, now faced Xiao Qingyi's grim expression and tried to use the same tactics she used on my father, son-in-law. Please don't be angry. It must be that the girl Hengwu fell in love at first sight with the young master and couldn't control herself, which led to this, unexpectedly. Before she could finish her words, Xiao Qingyi jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. You woman, what nonsense are you spouting? The one sitting in the hall is my mother-in-law. Who do you think you are? Qiu Yinyang, usually relying on my father's favor, was arrogant and domineering in the mansion, never taking my mother seriously, always considering herself my father's rightful wife. Hearing Xiao Qingyi's words now, she was so embarrassed that her face turned red, and she couldn't utter a word. Seeing Aunt Chiu humiliated, Xie Ruoheng felt immense pain. Young master, how could you speak to my mother like that? Xiao Qingyi, however, seemed to be deliberately picking a fight. Upon hearing this, he retorted, Mother, Xie Ruoheng, you actually call a concubine mother? Could it be that there are two wives in this Ministry of Revenue's residence? Then, father-in-law, do not blame your son-in-law for upholding justice and reporting your crime of favoring concubines over your wife to the emperor. Upon hearing this, the father's face turned ashen with fear. Please calm down, your highness. This lowly woman was not like this before. Today, perhaps seeing our daughter return home, she drank too much and lost her senses. Someone, quickly drag concubine Chiu out. The matron by my mother's side immediately summoned a few strong servants to drag concubine Chiu out. Madame Chiu was already feeling wronged, and seeing that her father wouldn't help her, she burst into tears. Master, Hengwu is my own flesh and blood, born from my own body. I merely addressed him as my son-in-law. Is it necessary to be so relentless? Our Hengwu is now the wife of the heir apparent. Is the heir so harsh and demanding toward his wife's own mother? The people present, upon hearing this, were all taken aback. I exchanged a glance with Xiao Ji, then lowered our heads in silence. Mother kept her head down, pretending to be a bodhisattva, while father looked flustered. Xiao Qingyi, however, had turned ashen. No one told you. Your daughter is merely my concubine. She doesn't have the qualifications to be my wife. Seeing Madame Chiu's arrogant demeanor, it seems she might have played a part in plotting the switch of brides. Otherwise, how could she dare to claim the status of the mother-in-law of the Marquis's wife? Pretending to be confused, I spoke. The Marquis's estate sent a message. Could it be that Madame Chiu hasn't heard about it? Then how did Madame Chiu know about the arranged marriage and that my sister became the heir's wife? Could it be that the incident that day, as soon as I said this, my father immediately stepped forward and slapped Madame Chiu across the face? You vile woman. Mother also began to cry. My poor daughter, with both your father and I still here, how could you be so schemed against and harmed by a concubine and her daughter? I joined in the crying. Mother, father, you must seek justice for your daughter. That day, Xiao Qingyi caused a scene, then my mother, and then me. A joyous return banquet ended with Aunt Chiu being demoted to a countryside estate. Xie Ruoheng had originally planned to use her marriage to the heir apparent to show off her power at her parents' home. Unexpectedly, the heir apparent forced my father to punish her birth mother, giving her a huge embarrassment. On the way back, Her eyes were swollen from crying. I wanted to laugh but felt it wasn't appropriate, so I buried my head in Xiao Ji's embrace like a quail, pretending to be sad. Watching Xiao Qingyi and Xie Ruoheng board the carriage next door, I was filled with confusion. Isn't Xiao Qingyi slapping Qiu Yinyang and Xie Ruoheng in the face, essentially slapping himself? What is he after? I don't understand. In that nightmare, I already saw through his ruthless, murderous nature. He can make a fuss if he wants to. With him helping me and my mother deal with Qiu's concubine and Xie Ruoheng, I actually saved myself some trouble. In order to give birth to an heir first, I used the tonic recipe I dreamed of applying to Xiao Qingyi on Xiao Ji. Xiao Ji was already a passionate man, and after taking my tonic, he became even more vigorous. We indulged in passionate nights. Our love harmonious, the maids and matrons hid under the eaves, blushing as they listened, only telling others that the second master and his wife were deeply in love, envied by all. In contrast, Xie Ruoheng's situation could be described as gloomy and miserable. Just half a month after entering the estate, Xie Ruoheng was confined by Xiao Qingyi for reflection. Later, when she was released, she went to great lengths to coax Xiao Qingyi into consummating their marriage, but for some reason, perhaps due to the absence of my secret formula, no matter what methods Xie Ruoheng used, she couldn't succeed. When the news spread, others only said that Xie Ruoheng lacked the ability to win her husband's heart. Her mother-in-law also indirectly asked Xiao Qingyi if he didn't like Xie Ruoheng and whether he wanted to choose 2 concubine maids. Xie Ruoheng's face turned from black to white and back again. Her gaze at me was filled with such hatred that it seemed she wanted to devour me. I cowered and burrowed into Xiao Ji's embrace, asking, "Sister, why are you looking at me like that? It's not like I'm the one choosing a concubine for the young master." Xiao Ji, seeing this, immediately pulled me into his arms with a heartbroken expression, glaring back fiercely. "How dare you? How insolent! A mere concubine dares to bully the second young madam of the estate." Xie Ruoheng's eyes turned red, and she looked at Xiao Ji with a wronged and aggrieved expression. "Second young master, I didn't." Afraid that she might fail to seduce Xiao Qingyi and turn her attention to Xiao Ji instead, I quickly reached my hand into Xiao Ji's side and pinched him hard. "Husband tilde tilde tilde." Xiao Ji winced in pain but did not make a sound. He coldly glanced at Xie Ruoheng and said in a stern voice, "You are the concubine of the Marquis." Acting so artificially and crying all the time, what kind of decorum is that? If someone didn't know better, they'd think my elder brother mistreats you. Madame Wang also found this stepson's concubine increasingly displeasing to the eye. In contrast, her younger son and his wife were in perfect harmony, which was much more reassuring. Glared at Xie Ruoheng. "All right, aren't you going down yet? Our family doesn't know what kind of sin we've committed. To marry you, such a calamity. I see that ever since the young master married you, he hasn't smiled even for a single day," then waved at me. "My dear child, come here, let your mother-in-law take a good look at you. These days your waistline has become fuller. Is your menstrual cycle still regular? Have you had a doctor check it out?" Xie Ruoheng wanted to say something more, but Madame Wang wouldn't spare her even a glance. She could only grit her teeth, stamp her foot, and leave in anger. "Xie Jiaotang, you will definitely regret this." I expected Xie Ruoheng wouldn't behave herself, but I didn't expect her to act so quickly. She actually blocked Xiao Ji's path back from the training grounds, throwing herself into his arms. "Second young master, please show some affection to your concubine. This life, your concubine simply cannot endure it any longer." I was framed in the arranged marriage swap that day. It was my sister who stole my marriage, originally. "I was supposed to be your rightful wife." She spoke with such misery, unaware that Cheng Yi and I happened to pass by and were standing right behind her and Xiao Ji. Seeing her so pitiful, I thought Xiao Ji would be moved, but instead, he pushed her away as if he had seen a ghost. What are you doing? Then he raised his nose and sniffed hard on himself twice. His face contorted in despair. Oh no, I've picked up your perfume scent. My wife has a very keen nose, if she smells it. What am I to do? My wife forbids me from talking to other women. You've ruined me. Sieruoheng, fully aware that he was being despised to such an extent, had a face filled with resentment and confusion. We should be husband and wife. Is that how much you despise me? What is it about her, Xie that I can't compare to? Xiao Ji patted his clothes and said, what's better about my wife than you? There are far too many things. She's taller than you, has a slimmer waist, fairer skin, bigger eyes, a more pleasant voice, and is more well-read and kind-hearted than you. In every way, she's 100 times better than you. No, how dare you compare yourself to my wife? Is there no mirror in the house, or no urine? Why not pee and take a look at yourself? That's way too crude. Sieruoheng, no matter how cunning and malicious she was still a young lady from a noble family. Being humiliated like this, how could she endure it any longer? She immediately grabbed Xiao Ji's sleeve, ready to act shamelessly. Guards, second young master, I am your brother's woman. Please don't. She was trying to frame and slander him, just as I heard Xiao Chengyi cough softly beside me. Cough, cough. That cough was like a thunderbolt, startling Sieruoheng so much that she let go of Xiao Ji's sleeve and fell to the ground. She turned her head, looking at Xiao Chengyi and me in disbelief. Your Highness, and you, why are you here? What are you doing behind my back? I hastily waved my hands. Husband, sister, I just happened to meet the prince. It's just that it was dark, and you didn't notice us. Sieruoheng's face was filled with uncertainty. You, how much did you see? Xiao Chengyi snorted coldly. From the moment you called out to my second brother, I saw everything. Fine, Sieruoheng, are you blaming me for neglecting you? Or are you naturally despicable, unable to live without a man? Even daring to seduce my younger brother? How about this? I, the dark and malicious as him, would certainly feel uneasy seeing his frivolous younger brother not only win the martial champion title but also become a first-class imperial guard of the 3rd rank. It's not easy, so what? This is just the beginning. Perhaps sensing my gaze, Xiao Chengyi suddenly looked up and met my eyes. I looked back at him openly, squinting and smiling. I mustn't let him see through my thoughts. Soon, the sound of knocking and banging came from outside. Xiao Ji returned riding a tall horse, dressed in a red robe and wearing a red silk flower ball. After dismounting and entering the house, he quickly ran inside, lifted me up under my armpits, and spun me around. Wife. I've passed the imperial examination. You're the champion's wife. Hearing this from my 8-month pregnant belly, I feel so dizzy. Husband. Why are there 2 husbands? Her mother-in-law was so frightened her heart almost leapt out of her chest, and she hurriedly went to hit him. What are you doing? Your wife is pregnant. Xiao Ji finally realized what was happening and quickly helped me sit down. I'm sorry, my dear. I was too happy. Are you all right? I held his hand. And it took me a while to recover. I gave him a gentle smile. Husband, I'm fine. Both I and the child are doing well. Then I took out a fragrant handkerchief to wipe his sweat. Husband, you've worked hard. In front of my in-laws, Xiao Chengyi and Sieruoheng, I couldn't lose my temper. Just wait until we get home and I deal with him. Xiao Ji grinned widely, showing his teeth. Not hard at all. For my wife, I'd do anything. Sieruoheng, standing nearby, stared intently at Xiao Ji. Her handkerchief twisted into a tangled mess. I knew what she was thinking, regretting the day she swapped betrothed partners, missing her chance to become the wife of a martial champion. After the imperial decree was issued, the mansion hosted a grand banquet. Nobles and dignitaries from the capital came to offer their congratulations, and the Duke of Zhengguo's household attended in full. It was only then that I realized Xiao Ji's cousins were all exceptional talents. Xiao Ji grew up in the military camp, soaking in its atmosphere, and his skills in both literature and martial arts were no less than anyone else's. Those who once called him a profligate playboy now praised him. Xiao Chengyi sat at the banquet,
feeling uneasy and uncomfortable. I feel a sense of satisfaction when I see him in discomfort. These days, my dreams have become increasingly vivid. As if the events in those dreams were not just dreams, but rather my past life. Xiao Qingyi is a heartless and unfaithful scoundrel, and he and Xie Ruoheng are a pair of shameless scoundrels. And I, who was drowned in the pond, and Xiao Ji, who died on the exile road, were the biggest victims. Every time I wake up from a nightmare, it's Xiao Ji who wakes me up. Wife, wake up. I open my eyes and see the lively Xiao Ji in front of me, feeling extremely grateful for the decision I made that day. Crying, I threw myself into his arms. Husband, Xiao Ji would always gently pat my head. It's all right, your husband is here, your husband will protect you. I hugged him tightly. Your concubine doesn't need her husband's protection, only that her husband promise her one thing. Xiao Ji, what is it? At all times, protect yourself well, and never lose your life. You are our hope, for me and the child. As long as Xiao Ji survives, our good days are yet to come. Who will I have children with, and how will I seize this Marquis title? Xiao Ji was deeply moved. Wife, since then, I have grown increasingly disgusted with Xiao Qingyi. If I had truly married this unfaithful man in my previous life, exhausted myself to cure him, only for him to commit adultery with my half-sister and kill both me and Xiao Ji, that would be too unjust. Every time I encounter him in the mansion, I want to pierce 2 holes in his face with my gaze and slap him across the mouth. However, I just thought about it, and on the surface, I still greeted him with a smile. After all, I am now the wife of the top scholar, the esteemed wife of a 3rd-rank first-class Imperial Guard, Xiao Qingyi, a mere 7th-rank idle official. What am I to be angry about? My husband sees the emperor every day. I should thank him for not marrying me. But Xiao Qingyi's gaze towards me became increasingly peculiar. As my due date approached, I decided not to leave the courtyard. By the end of the year, I gave birth to a chubby baby girl. Xiao Ji named her Xiao Mingyu, with the nickname Jiao Jiao. Being the eldest granddaughter of the household, my in-laws doted on her immensely. Good things flowed into my courtyard like water, and the full moon banquet was grand and magnificent. With a whole basket of long-life locks received, Xie Ruoheng watched with a sour expression. It's just a girl, yet she's treated like something precious, holding my daughter in my arms. I didn't get angry. Sister, being a woman yourself, how can you look down on girls? My husband and I don't discriminate, we like both boys and girls. Besides, sister, you and the young master don't even have children yet. It's better for the eldest grandson to come from the main branch. Sister and the young master must work harder. My words successfully brought tears to Xie Ruoheng's eyes. It also darkened Xiao Qingyi's expression, who then reprimanded Xie Ruoheng. Who do you think you are to speak here? You're embarrassing yourself on such a joyous day. Get back now, Xie Ruoheng lamented. Young master. But Xiao Qingyi's nature was resolute and unyielding. She dared not act recklessly and could only withdraw. In the following days, Xiao Ji and I focused on raising our child in the house, while Xiao Qingyi and Xie Ruoheng concentrated on conceiving a child within their own quarters. Despite Xiao Qingyi consuming a whole basket of tonic medicines and making considerable noise, it had been over a year since Jiao Jiao's first birthday, yet there was still no sign of Xie Ruoheng's belly showing any progress. Over this period, Xiao Qingyi had also taken in a few concubines, but none had borne any children, and yet I was once again experiencing morning sickness. My mother-in-law asked if I was pregnant again, and I shyly nodded. The doctor said, less than 2 months. My mother-in-law was overjoyed. Our Jia truly has good fortune to have married you. Our Jiao Jiao is going to have a little brother or sister. That night, I heard that a concubine in Xiao Qingyi's courtyard was severely punished and sold off. I felt a chill run down my spine upon hearing this. Indeed, he is a man of unpredictable moods and lacking in kindness and loyalty. One day, as I was resting in my courtyard, a servant came to report that Jiao Jiao had fallen and urged me to hurry over. I noticed the servant was unfamiliar, but concern clouded my judgment, and I followed along. Only upon arriving did I realize there was no Jiao Jiao to be found. The person before me was clearly Xiao Qingyi. Your Highness, where is Jiao Jiao? I looked at him with suspicion. Discreetly pulling out a hairpin and hiding it in my sleeve, Xiao Qingyi gazed at me with a dazed expression, coldly saying, "That bastard is with the madam, Tanga, you don't need to worry." Hearing this, my heart tightened immediately, and I reprimanded him, "Your Highness, please choose your words carefully. Jiao Jiao is your niece, and as her uncle, how can you speak ill of a child under 2 years old?" But Xiao Qingyi retorted, "Tanga, stop pretending. I know you must have been reborn too, in our previous life. I was your husband. How could you be so heartless and marry that good-for-nothing Xiao Ji? I agreed to let your sister marry you so that she could be the official wife. And you could be my concubine. I didn't mean to abandon you." I looked at Xiao Qingyi, feeling incredulous. "Your Highness, what are you talking about? My husband is Xiao Ji, your half-brother. He is the martial champion personally appointed by the emperor, not some incompetent." Xiao Qingyi, however, reacted as if his tail had been stepped on, becoming agitated. "Shut up. If it weren't for your refusal to be a concubine and your insistence on marrying him, how could he have such abilities? I know, all of this was your planning for him, wasn't it? It's okay, Tanga, I don't mind you. Only now did I realize that I have no feelings for any woman other than you. Those women are all useless hens who can't lay eggs." Then he eagerly came to pull me. "I am the heir. I cannot be without an heir. Help me. Will you help me have a child?" I backed away in fright, feeling as if I had swallowed a fly, utterly disgusted. "Your Highness, what are you talking about? I am your sister-in-law, and I am carrying your brother's child. How can you say something so shameless and against morality?" Xiao Qingyi still tried to pull me. "What's his child? Just get rid of it. My firstborn son can only come from your womb. As for Xiao Ji, I will take his life sooner or later. Tanga, you will only ever be mine." I take back calling Xiao Qingyi a heartless man. He is nothing but a deranged madman. Seeing him about to pull me again, I steeled my heart and stabbed through his hand with a hairpin. Xiao Qingyi, looking at the hairpin stuck in his palm, immediately let out a pig-like scream. "Tanga, why are you so heartless? I am your husband." Just as I was about to speak, I suddenly felt a gust of wind behind me. And then I saw Xiao Ji kick Xiao Qingyi out. Recognizing the person behind me, I cried and threw myself into his arms. "Husband, you've finally come." Sniff sniff. The young master. The young master had improper intentions towards me. Not only did he want me to abort our child, but he also said he wanted to take your life. I was so scared that I stabbed him with the hairpin. "War, what should I do?" Xiao Ji's face turned livid with anger. How could you do such a thing?" Then he gave Xiao Qingyi a severe beating and carried me away, cradled in his arms. That day's incident, Xiao Qingyi knew he was in the wrong and indeed dared not make a fuss. He claimed the injuries on his body were from a fall. However, for the sake of having an heir, he intensified his supplements, and the number of concubines in his chambers increased day by day. But no matter how hard he tried, none of them, including Xie Ruoxiang, showed any signs of pregnancy. Later, after 10 months of pregnancy, I gave birth to a boy, completely securing the position of the eldest grandson of the Marquis's estate. Xiao Qingyi, however, fell ill with a sudden illness and passed away not long after. All the concubines left behind were sent away. The widowed Xie Ruoheng was also sent to a countryside estate to mourn for Xiao Qingyi. As for the position of the heir, it naturally fell to Xiao Ji. On the day we saw Xie Ruoheng off, I smiled at her. "Sister." The position of the heir's wife ultimately fell into my hands. Xie Ruoheng, who had been dejected, instantly widened her eyes in disbelief, staring at me. "Xie Jiaotang, you hid it so well. You've also been reborn, haven't you? Did you kill the young master? Did you plan everything from the beginning? Didn't you?" After saying this, I turned around and left, not caring what she said. If she wants to think that, then let her think that. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.